Stop laughing at me, Mom. There we go. Boom. Boom. Sorry. I'll straighten up.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about why we use solitary confinement and why we need to continue to use solitary confinement. In the early 80s, the Aryan Brotherhood started a war with other prison gangs in order to try to take control of the drug trade inside prisons. The leaders of the Aryan Brotherhood ordered dozens, if not hundreds, of killings of other inmates, and this did not stop until about 20 years later in 2002 when federal prosecutors isolated, cut off the leaders from the other inmates, and then prosecuted them. So if you were to take away solitary confinement, it would put everybody in the facility at greater risk, whether that be inmates or staff. We only house the most dangerous inmates there, the ones that have already committed violent acts. And through the course of this, we'll show why we still need to use it. So why we use it right now is to isolate the most dangerous inmates. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, in 2015, only 20% of prison inmates and 18% of jail inmates go into segregated housing. And of those that went into segregated housing, only approximately 1 to 2% went into solitary confinement. There are some inmates that have severe mental illnesses, such as schizophrenia, that makes it unwise to house them with other inmates because they cannot control their behavior. So across the country right now, there are many, many groups that are trying to end the use of solitary confinement, and there are several states that have passed laws against it. The American Friends Service Committee is one of those groups that's working on it. They claim that the use of solitary confinement causes mental illnesses and causes things such as paranoia, hallucinations, insomnia, and rage. The Los Angeles Times editorial story, actually, while trying to defend this, admits that the inmates, generally speaking, already exhibit those behaviors, and that's what caused them to go into solitary confinement to begin with. So a proposed solution is to, obviously, to continue to use solitary confinement for those who are the most dangerous and have already shown a propensity towards violence. It protects everyone in the facility, from inmates to correctional staff, and most of the concerns that these groups have raised are being met already. Daily medical staff and mental health staff have to go and speak to the inmates that are in confinement to make sure that they are adjusting well and that they don't need any type of medical or mental health attention. If you were to end solitary confinement and you take all these inmates and you put them with other inmates out in the general population, the number of assaults between inmates and on staff would rise to epidemic proportions. The inmates only get into that confinement because they've already shown multiple acts of aggression and not able to control their behavior, or they've shown themselves to be someone that would organize other inmates to cause large-scale disturbances and or riots. In April of 1913, Wikipedia told us that the Aryan Brotherhood and the Gangster Disciples took over the Lucasville prison in Ohio. They were able to take control of the prison for 11 days. They killed 9 inmates and 1 correction officer when their demands were not met before they were finally able to take back control of the facility. If you were to end solitary confinement, you would have a rise in these types of events across the country. So what can you do about this? Just be cognizant. Listen out for laws that may be coming around here in Florida. There's many other states that have already proposed these. And if you do hear about these things that are being proposed as possible state laws, to contact your local representatives and let them know your concerns and have your voice heard as to why we still need these. And going back to the National Geographic documentary done on the Aryan Brotherhood in 2007, one of the members of the Aryan Brotherhood admitted to personally killing 22 other inmates. Now, I can guarantee you that those are 22 families that wish that he'd been identified earlier and put into solitary confinement isolation so that that family would still have their family member alive today. And that's all I've got. Thank you.